3:47 a.m., and I'm sitting in my kitchen staring at the severance agreement my former company sent over 6 hours ago. 6 hours since I was escorted out of the building by security after the most humiliating board meeting of my life. 6 hours since I watched an employee I'd mentored for 4 years, someone I'd saved from being fired on 3 separate occasions, stand in front of our board of directors and systematically dismantle my reputation with a presentation full of half-truths, manipulated data, and outright lies. 6 hours since the board sided with him over me and asked for my resignation effective immediately. My name is Jonathan Price. I'm 42 years old, and until this morning, I was the VP of Operations at Meridian Technologies, a mid-sized manufacturing company where I'd worked for 12 years. I'd built my career there, worked my way up from plant manager to director to VP. I had the respect of my team, good relationships with my peers, and what I thought was the trust of the C-suite and board. I had a 6-figure salary, stock options that would have vested next year, and a career trajectory that looked solid. Now I have none of that. I have a severance package that's insultingly small, a non-compete clause that will make finding another job difficult, and the knowledge that my career was destroyed by someone I'd protected, defended and believed in when absolutely no one else did. His name is Trevor Kaplan. He's 31 years old, and this morning he took my job. Not just took it, orchestrated my removal so perfectly that the board thanked him for his courage in bringing serious concerns to light and promoted him to VP of Operations before my security escort had even left the building. He's sitting in my office right now, probably going through my files, settling into the position I spent 12 years earning. I need to write this down because I can't sleep. Can't think, can't process how someone I'd gone to bat for repeatedly could do this. Because I've spent the past 6 hours replaying every interaction with Trevor over the past 4 years and seeing all the signs I missed. Because I need to document this before I convince myself it didn't happen the way it happened. Let me start from the beginning, from when I first met Trevor and made the decision that would eventually destroy me. 4 years ago, I'd just been promoted to VP of Operations. One of my first challenges was dealing with a problematic employee in our logistics department. Trevor had been with the company for about 8 months and was already on his second written warning. His direct supervisor, Marie Chen, wanted him gone. He's insubordinate, Marie told me in our one-on-one. Constantly questions my decisions, undermines me in front of the team, misses deadlines. I've documented everything. I want to terminate him. I looked at Trevor's file. The write-ups were there. Failure to follow procedures, argumentative behavior with his supervisor, missed project deadlines. But I also saw something else. His actual work product when he delivered it was excellent. Innovative solutions to logistics problems, data analysis that showed real insight, comments from other departments praising his contributions. Let me talk to him first, I said to Marie. Before we terminate, Marie was frustrated but agreed. She'd been with the company for 15 years, and I was new to the VP role. I wanted to make sure I wasn't signing off on a firing just to make her happy without understanding the full situation. I called Trevor into my office. He came in defensive, arms crossed, clearly expecting another reprimand. Trevor, I've been reviewing your file, I started. Help me understand what's going on. Your work is good, sometimes really good, but you're having issues with your supervisor. Trevor's defensiveness cracked a little. Marie doesn't like new ideas. I see inefficiencies in our processes and try to fix them, and she shuts me down. When I push back, she writes me up for being insubordinate. Give me an example, he did. Explained a logistics routing system that was costing us money and time, proposed a solution he'd researched, and was told by Marie that this is how we've always done it, and to stop making problems. When he'd implemented his solution anyway on a small test scale, and it worked, Marie wrote him up for going around her authority. I checked with other departments. Trevor's story held up. His solution had actually saved time and money. Marie had indeed shut down the idea, and then written him up when he proved it worked. Over the next few weeks, I dug deeper. I found a pattern. Trevor was a talented, ambitious employee with good ideas, who was being managed by someone threatened by his initiative. Marie was a solid manager in many ways, but she didn't handle creative problem solvers well. She wanted people who followed established procedures without question. I had a choice: fire Trevor to make Marie happy, or try to salvage a talented employee. I chose to save him, transferred him to a different department under a manager I thought would be a better fit. Made it clear to Trevor that this was his last chance. He needed to work on his communication style and learn to navigate organizational politics better. But I was giving him an opportunity to prove himself. Trevor seemed grateful, thanked me profusely, said he wouldn't let me down. For about 6 months, everything seemed fine. Trevor's new manager, Richard, gave positive reports. Trevor was contributing, following procedures, working well with the team. I felt vindicated in my decision. Then came the second incident. Trevor was assigned to a major project, implementing a new inventory management system. 3 months in, the project was behind schedule and over budget. The project manager, Susan, wanted Trevor removed from the team. "He's impossible to work with," Susan told me. "Constantly pushes back on decisions, wants to redesign things his way, creates conflict in team meetings. The project is suffering because of him." I looked at the project documentation. The project was indeed behind and over budget, but I also saw that several of Trevor's concerns in the meeting notes were legitimate. The system they were implementing had known issues that Trevor had flagged early. The team had ignored his concerns, and now those issues were causing expensive delays. Trevor was right about the technical problems, I pointed out to Susan. "Being right doesn't give him permission to be an asshole about it," Susan said. He told the vendor in a meeting that their solution was fundamentally broken, and we were idiots for buying it. Those were his exact words. I talked to Trevor again. He admitted he'd been harsh but defended his position. I tried to raise these concerns diplomatically for weeks. Nobody listened, so I escalated my language to make sure people understood how serious the problems were. "There's a way to do that without burning bridges," I said. "You were right about the technical issues, but you were wrong about how you communicated them. You can't call people idiots even if you think they're making bad decisions." Trevor apologized, said he'd work on his communication, asked for another chance to prove he could be a team player. Against the advice of Susan and several other colleagues, I kept Trevor on the project. Assigned him to work more directly with me so I could mentor his communication skills while utilizing his technical abilities. The project eventually succeeded, partly because we addressed the issues Trevor had identified. I took this as confirmation that I'd made the right call. Looking back now, I can see what was actually happening. Trevor was learning that I'd protect him, that no matter what he did, no matter who complained about him, I'd find a way to keep him employed. He was learning how to manipulate my blind spots, my belief in second chances, my appreciation for technical talent, my contrarian instinct to defend the underdog. The third incident came about a year ago. By this point, Trevor had been at the company for over 3 years. He'd moved up to a senior analyst role, a promotion I'd advocated for over objections from several colleagues who thought Trevor was still too difficult to work with. This time, the issue was more serious. Trevor was accused of accessing confidential financial data he shouldn't have had access to. Our CFO, Richard Morrison, wanted him fired immediately. "He hacked into systems he doesn't have authorization for," Richard told me. "Pulled financial reports that are restricted to C-suite and board members. This is a terminable offense, possibly even criminal." I met with Trevor. He admitted to accessing the data but had an explanation. "I was working on efficiency analysis for the operations budget," Trevor said. "I needed company-wide financial context to make proper recommendations. The data I accessed wasn't sensitive. It was high-level revenue and expense figures that informed my analysis. I didn't realize it was restricted. The system should have blocked you if you didn't have authorization," I said. "It did initially, but I found a workaround. I thought that if I could access it, it must be okay. I didn't realize I was supposed to request permission first. Richard wasn't buying it. He deliberately circumvented security protocols. That shows intent. Fire him." But I looked at what Trevor had done with the data. He'd created a comprehensive analysis showing inefficiencies across multiple departments that could save the company over $2 million annually. It was brilliant work, Work that required exactly the kind of financial context he'd accessed. I made a case to Richard and our CEO. Trevor's methods were wrong, but his intentions were good and the results were valuable. Firing him would mean losing the talent behind that analysis and sending a message that initiative was punished. After significant debate, we decided not to fire Trevor. Instead, he got a written warning, mandatory training on data security protocols, and a stern lecture about following proper channels. Again, Trevor seemed grateful, said he understood why people were upset, promised to follow procedures going forward, told me privately that I was the only executive who understood him, who saw his potential, who gave him chances when everyone else wanted him gone. I felt good about it. I'd saved a talented employee again, protected someone with potential from a system that wanted to eliminate him for not fitting neatly into boxes. What I didn't realize was that Trevor wasn't grateful. He was studying me, learning exactly how far he could push, exactly what I'd excuse, exactly what narrative would make me defend him, and he was building a case against me while I thought I was mentoring him. About 6 months ago, I started noticing Trevor was acting differently, more confident, more political. He'd started having lunches with board members when they'd visit, would stay late having drinks with the CEO, was inserting himself into strategic conversations he wouldn't normally be part of. Trevor's getting ambitious, my colleague Patricia mentioned once. Be careful. That guy's going to want your job. I laughed it off. Trevor's talented. If he's ambitious enough to eventually take my job, that's good for the company. That's how succession should work. Patricia gave me a look that I now recognize as pity. Jonathan, you're too nice. Trevor's not thinking about succession planning. He's thinking about replacement. I should have listened to Patricia. But I thought she was being cynical. I thought Trevor's networking was a positive sign. He was maturing, developing executive presence, learning how the company really worked. 3 months ago, Trevor started making subtle comments about operational decisions I was making. Nothing direct, just questions. Have you considered the risk exposure on that supplier contract? I wonder if the board knows about the budget overruns in the Chicago facility. Interesting choice to go with that vendor. Did we do a thorough competitive analysis? I thought he was engaging critically, showing strategic thinking. I'd answer his questions, explain my reasoning, sometimes even adjust decisions based on his input. I was treating him like a protege, a future leader I was developing. He was gathering ammunition 2 months ago. Trevor asked if he could present an operational efficiency analysis to the board at their next meeting. I've been working on some ideas, and I think the board would appreciate seeing the innovation happening at the operational level, he said. It seemed like a reasonable request. I was always looking for ways to showcase talent to the board. I cleared it with the CEO and put Trevor on the agenda for a 15-minute presentation. This is a great opportunity for you, I told Trevor. The board rarely sees people at your level. Make a good impression, he smiled. I'll make sure they remember me. I didn't attend the presentation. It was a routine board meeting. I had other priorities, and I trusted Trevor to present well. The CEO texted me afterward. Trevor killed it with the board. Great presentation. Nice job developing him. I felt proud, like a teacher watching a student succeed. Last week, I got a call from our CEO, Michael Stevens. Jonathan, can you come to my office? We need to talk about something. The tone was serious. I went to his office immediately. Michael was there with Richard, the CFO, and Janet Reeves, our head of HR. Jonathan, we've received some concerning information from Trevor Kaplan, Michael started. He's brought forward evidence of potential operational misconduct and financial irregularities. The board wants a full investigation, and they've requested a special meeting to review Trevor's findings. My stomach dropped. What findings? What misconduct? Trevor has documentation suggesting you've been making unauthorized decisions, concealing budget overruns, potentially taking kickbacks from vendors, and retaliating against employees who question your decisions. Michael said. That's insane, I said. None of that is true. What documentation? We'll review everything in detail at the board meeting, Michael said. Trevor has prepared a comprehensive presentation. The board wants to hear from both of you. The meeting is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Michael, I've worked here for 12 years. You know me. This doesn't make any sense. I hope you're right, Michael said. But Trevor has some concerning evidence and the board takes these allegations seriously. Prepare your defense. This is serious. I spent the next 24 hours in panic mode. Called my attorney. Pulled together every operational document I could think of. Tried to figure out what Trevor could possibly have on me. I couldn't find anything. Because I hadn't done anything wrong. I'd made some operational decisions that didn't work out perfectly. That's normal in any business. There were some budget overruns in one facility, but they were documented and explained. Nothing I'd done was misconduct. This morning I walked into the board meeting with my attorney. The board was already there. 8 board members, Michael, Richard, Janet, and Trevor. Trevor had a sleek presentation queued up. He looked confident, prepared, not at all like someone accusing his mentor of serious misconduct. Thank you for this opportunity, Trevor began. What I'm about to share was difficult to compile and is difficult to present. Jonathan Price has been my supervisor and mentor, but I have a responsibility to this company and its shareholders to bring forward information about operational and financial irregularities I've discovered. What followed was a 45-minute character assassination disguised as a factual presentation. Trevor showed budget overruns in the Chicago facility, real numbers. But stripped of all context, he didn't mention the facility had emergency equipment failures that required immediate replacement. He didn't mention I'd documented everything and gotten approval for the overruns. He just showed the numbers and called them concealed cost overruns. He showed vendor contracts that he claimed were awarded without proper competitive bidding. What he didn't mention was that several of these were sole source vendors for specialized equipment, or that competitive bids had been done. But he was only showing the final contract, not the process. He showed emails where I'd overruled other managers on operational decisions, presented them as me being dictatorial and retaliating against dissent. Didn't mention that as VP of operations, making final decisions was literally my job, or that in each case I'd had valid operational reasons for my decisions. Most damaging. He showed financial transactions that he claimed were kickbacks from vendors. Money that had been paid into an account with my name on it. Except, and I only realized this in the moment, these were corporate credit card reimbursements for business expenses. Trevor had found legitimate reimbursements, cherry-picked ones involving vendors, and presented them as if they were suspicious personal payments. The presentation was sophisticated, polished, and devastating. Every claim had a kernel of truth wrapped in misleading context. Every piece of evidence was real but presented in the worst possible light. In summary, Trevor concluded, Jonathan Price has consistently made decisions that benefit him personally at the expense of company interests. He's concealed operational problems, retaliated against employees who questioned him, and potentially taken financial advantage of his position. I bring this forward not out of any personal animus. Jonathan has been a mentor to me, but because I believe the company deserves better. The board members looked shocked, concerned. Some looked at me with suspicion. I could see them mentally writing me off as a problem to be eliminated. Michael gave me a chance to respond. I went through Trevor's presentation point by point, providing context, showing documentation Trevor had omitted, explaining the legitimate business reasons for every decision, but I could see I was losing. Trevor's presentation was cleaner, more compelling, more prepared. Mine was defensive, reactive, scrambling to explain rather than assert. The board asked me to step out while they deliberated. I sat in the hallway with my attorney for 45 minutes. He was shaking his head. That was a hit job, he said. Everything was technically true but completely misleading. But proving that is hard. The board doesn't know you well enough to give you the benefit of the doubt. Michael came out. Jonathan, I'm sorry. The board has lost confidence in your leadership. They're asking for your resignation. We'll provide a severance package, but we need this to be immediate. Michael, you know this is bullshit. You know Trevor manipulated everything. I know Trevor raised concerns that the board finds credible. Michael interrupted. Whether they're fair or not, the board has made their decision. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I really am. But this is over. I was escorted out by security while Trevor watched from the conference room. He didn't look triumphant. He looked professional, concerned, like someone who'd done a difficult but necessary thing. In my car, I called Patricia, told her everything. She was silent for a long moment. "Jonathan, I'm so sorry. I warned you about Trevor, but I never thought he'd do something like this. How did I miss it?" I asked. "How did I not see this coming?" "Because you're a decent person," Patricia said. "You believed in giving people chances. Trevor studied you and exploited that. This isn't your fault, it's his. But you need to accept that the board isn't going to reverse this. Trevor won. She was right. I've spent the past 6 hours going through the severance agreement, and it's clear the company wants me gone quietly. The severance is conditional on me signing a non-disparagement agreement and not contesting my departure. If I fight this, they'll make it ugly. I've also spent the past 6 hours going through every interaction with Trevor, and I can now see the pattern I missed while living it. The first year, Trevor learned I was someone who valued talent over politics, who'd defend employees against management if I thought they were right. He tested how far that would go. The second year, Trevor learned exactly what I'd excuse and what narratives worked on me. I was trying to help. Nobody would listen. I'm just passionate about doing good work. These phrases worked on me every time. The third year, Trevor started building his own power base, networking with board members, creating relationships with the CEO, positioning himself as the innovative voice of operations while subtly undermining me. The fourth year, Trevor executed, built his case, carefully documented everything that could be presented negatively, created a narrative where I was the problem and he was the solution, then delivered it to the board perfectly. I saved Trevor from being fired 3 times. I mentored him, defended him, promoted him, gave him opportunities nobody else would give him, and he used every bit of access I gave him to build the case that destroyed me. The worst part is that I can't even warn anyone. The non-disparagement clause means I can't tell other companies what Trevor did. He'll get to keep my job, build on the reputation he stole from me, and if he ever leaves Meridian, he'll have VP of Operations on his resume with nobody knowing how he got there. My attorney thinks I might have a case for wrongful termination, but it would be expensive and difficult. Trevor was smart enough to stay just barely on the legal side of his accusations. Nothing was provably false, just misleading. Fighting it would cost more than the severance is worth and could damage my reputation further. "Cut your losses," my attorney advises. "Take the severance, move on, rebuild your career. Fighting this will only make things worse." He's probably right. But it feels like letting Trevor win, like letting someone get away with destroying a career through calculated manipulation and betrayal. I keep thinking about moments I could have handled differently. When Marie first wanted to fire Trevor, I should have let it happen. When Susan wanted him removed from the project, I should have agreed. When Richard wanted him fired for the security breach, I should have supported that decision. Every time I chose to save Trevor, I gave him more power to eventually destroy me. My kindness, my belief in second chances, my mentorship, all of it was weaponized against me. But here's what really kills me. I still don't regret being the kind of leader who gave people chances. I don't regret believing in talent over politics. I don't regret mentoring someone who showed potential. What I regret is being naive about Trevor specifically, about not seeing that some people view kindness as weakness to exploit, rather than a relationship to honor. About not recognizing that Trevor's pattern of burning bridges with everyone except me wasn't bad luck. It was his nature, and I was just the last bridge he'd burn when it served his purpose. Patricia told me something tonight that's been haunting me. After you got walked out, I talked to Marie, Susan, and Richard, the people who wanted Trevor fired. They all said the same thing. We tried to warn Jonathan. They did try to warn me. And I dismissed them all as people who didn't understand Trevor, who couldn't see his potential, who were threatened by someone different. I positioned myself as the enlightened leader who saw beyond politics to raw talent. I was so busy being right about Trevor's abilities that I never questioned whether he was someone who could be trusted with those abilities. Talent without character is dangerous. I learned that too late. It's almost 6 a.m. now. In a few hours I'll need to start making calls, telling people I'm out of work, starting the job search process, trying to figure out how to explain my departure without violating the non-disparagement clause. Trevor will walk into my old office today and sit in my chair. He'll manage my team, the team that probably has no idea what really happened. He'll run the operations I built over 12 years. He'll get credit for strategies I developed. He'll have the career trajectory that was mine. And if anyone asks him how he got there, he'll probably say I was a great mentor who taught him everything he knows. That might be the part that stings most. It's true in a twisted way. I did teach Trevor everything he knows. I taught him how to navigate corporate politics by protecting him from consequences. I taught him how to manipulate me by repeatedly falling for his explanations. I taught him how to destroy a career by giving him access to every vulnerability. I was the best teacher Trevor ever had. I just didn't know I was teaching him how to replace me. People always say that no good deed goes unpunished. I used to think that was cynical. Now I think it's just realistic. I saved Trevor 3 times. He destroyed me once. Seems like he got the better end of that deal. The sun is up now. Another day starting. My first day in 12 years without going to Meridian Technologies. My first day of being unemployed in my adult life. My first day of figuring out what comes after someone you trusted burns down everything you built. I don't have answers yet, just questions and hurt, and this crushing sense of being played by someone I thought I was helping. Trevor's probably getting ready for work right now, picking out which suit to wear to his first day as VP, thinking about how he'll handle his first team meeting, planning his strategy for consolidating his new power. I hope he has trouble sleeping tonight. I hope some part of him feels guilty. I hope he thinks about what he did and feels bad about it. But I doubt it. People who do what Trevor did don't feel guilt. They feel satisfaction at a plan well executed, and me? I get to feel like an idiot for not seeing it coming. For believing in someone who was using me the whole time. For being the kind of leader who gave chances to people who didn't deserve them. Maybe that's the real lesson. Being a good person doesn't protect you from bad people. Sometimes it just makes you a better target. I'm 42 years old. And the employee I saved from being fired 3 times just took my job by convincing the board I was corrupt. And there's not a damn thing I can do about it except learn to live with what happened. Learn that loyalty isn't always reciprocated. Learn that kindness can be exploited. Learn that being a mentor doesn't make you safe from betrayal. I'll rebuild, find another job, start over somewhere else. But I'll do it differently next time. More cautious, more skeptical, less willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. Trevor didn't just take my job. He took my faith in people. Maybe that was always his goal. Maybe that's the real victory he won.